how's it going? It's BLOCKYSPLASHY. We're reacting to the day video games were ruined forever and eternity. All right, let's get
Why
to
have
it.
video games become so terrible in recent years? You
I
know,
don't know.
games used to make me forget the real world
Tell me.
existed. Hours would literally disappear. You'd look up at the time and realize you'd missed dinner and you didn't even care. As when I look back on those
The good old days. I don't remember doing that, but yeah.
times, it all just felt so pure and simple. Like the developers
Yo, if you're like not like an adult, bro, enjoy your time, bro. Just like game, no worries. Mom calls you for dinner, go eat for free unless she charges you. Yeah. Scrutiny.
had
None.
built something for you to just enjoy, with no strings attached once you purchased the game from the store and loaded it up. It was a ritual to stand
Do you have a PS2 in there?
outside waiting for the new game, going around the entire store browsing the physical copies. Gaming shops would be full of people, all just looking around wanting to play new things, or just testing out new games in store. This is why ownership and player control really was the DNA of the entire gaming industry. You could play Destiny with your
What game is that? Damned. I've never seen that.
friends every evening.
Let me know in the
waiting
comments.
for the hype since Halo. Call of Duty matches that didn't require a credit card to win.
That was Destiny.
Even mobile games like Angry Birds only cost 99 cents with the intention that
W
you'd
Angry
own them
Bird.
forever. Gaming truly was a magical period
You had to pay for Angry Birds?
a decade ago, but we
What
only realized
the-
how amazing we had it when it was taken away from us. And just look at what's
Your life is full.
replaced it. Call of Duty Black Ops 7 has you fighting giant monsters and dodging massive
played that.
machetes falling from the sky. Zombies everywhere, physics-breaking brain rot that
Yo, Endgame, the game mode in there. I feel attracted to. Let me know if you do too.
looks like Fortnite. Because when you look back now, that Dilla golden era has just completely shattered. You get pummeled with microtransactions for things that should just be free. You simply can't compete or win without
Should be free.
burning through cash, even though you've paid for the game. Sometimes the game promised won't even work if you don't get the next DLC.
Grandma knows
and then when
best.
the game does eventually
Is that a real voice
dry
pack?
up, you're left
Sorry
sitting on
for
thousands
pausing.
of dollars worth of purchases that vanish into nothing. Zero value, zero transferability.
W
But
gamer.
here's the bit that most people overlook.
He has more
This
games than me.
isn't just about gaming getting worse. It's about something far more insidious that's spreading into every corner of our lives. It's getting clear that the studios that once built
Insidious?
the worlds we loved helped pioneer a system that's now cannibalizing everything. From the products we buy to how we consume entertainment, to getting an entire generation of children addicted to gambling, and ultimately how corporations keep us hooked on things that make us miserable. All
This goes deeper than we thought.
whilst robbing us of our money. Now at this point it almost just seems obvious that this is the way the gaming industry is, but it never would have seemed possible back in the golden era of gaming, which wasn't even that long ago. Rushing home from school,
Konnichiwa.
throwing your bag down, racing to turn on the console before anyone else would claim the TV. When
That's
you had
not-
no work,
that's not
no
racist.
to-do list grating at the back of your mind. All you wanted to do is just keep playing, whether it be Fallout, Elder Scrolls, World of Warcraft, Knights of the Old Republic,
PS3.
Destiny, Mass Effect, The Witcher, the original Borderlands, GTA, Halo, Age
W video games. What? This is like 3 years worth of video games right now.
of Empires, Call of Duty, it doesn't even
You just
matter.
entertain
There were
yourself.
so many crazy good games, but all of them were similar in the fact that they gave you something the real world couldn't. A place where your
What?
decisions actually mattered, where you could socialize with people you
True. Hashtag true in the comment section.
wouldn't normally talk to. At school, you just felt like another kid in the crowd staying with the same friend group. But in a game, you had control and power, all while having lots of fun and socializing. It was
PewDiePie?
genuinely escapism in its purest form. You could spend your Saturday completely alone, lost in these
escapism.
massive worlds, but it didn't feel lonely. It just felt like an adventure.
I'm sorry. Escapism or escapism? Let me know.
It felt wholesome, stimulating, but it was also social in a way that it isn't now. That's why Saturday mornings meant coordinating with friends hours in advance. Why pizza nights in someone's basement for Halo
I'm sorry. Who remembers AOL Messenger or Yahoo Messenger? Like, I remember I was in elementary. Why do my arms look like this? Like, yo, I have long arm. Okay. Bro, I remember in elementary, like people start like texting each other. They just go to Yahoo or Instant Messenger on their computer and just like chat. What the? All right, let's keep going.
Tournaments felt more important than anything else. Gaming didn't just entertain us, it built our social world. It gave us a sense of community in an age of loneliness.
I feel like a T-Rex.
Endlessly with friends and strangers who became friends, sometimes even meeting them in real life. Some of your deepest childhood friendships were forged in these digital environments.
I can't spit anymore or yell. I'm in a professional environment, bro. I'm in an office.
It was for me at least. But that's when you realize that something about those experiences felt fundamentally different. Games used to respect our curiosity and intelligence, painstakingly crafted so every detail was exquisite and perfect. They required you to think strategically, to pay attention, to engage rather than mindlessly consume. That respect for the player, companies built their entire reputation on.
Who played that game? Fable? I wanna play that game. It was on Xbox only. Like back when Xbox came out.
On it. Take Bethesda's Morrowind in 2002, a vast detailed environment containing loads of cool creative architecture and some 200 books documenting the world's history. It's actually unbelievable how much work went into
Skyrim!
The hard work didn't pay off massively. Oblivion then arrived in 2006 and instantly topped it. Then it was Skyrim in 2011, which blew people's minds again, selling even more copies. It is still one of the best-selling games of all time, with a 96 Metacritic score and 227 gaming awards. These games were among the best for giving
How many gaming awards are there?
People total autonomy and control. You can go anywhere, do anything, ignore the main quest entirely and just wander into a cave, find a random book that tells you the history of some obscure guild from 300 years ago, or just find yourself immersed in a questline you had no idea existed.
Yo, sorry for pausing so much, but are you a warlock or a brawler? Brawlic Titan or whatever the other character is. Let me know.
I'm sure we all know people who sunk hundreds of hours into Skyrim and still found new things. I used to be an adventurer like you became a meme that transcended gaming itself. Gamers like World of Warcraft became cultural icons, appearing on TV shows like South Park. Everyone relied on Warzone to stay connected with friends in 2022. And you've probably got something else to add to this endless list of amazing gaming experiences. It was practically endless. And you honestly realized that we had it so good before the course of gaming was steered onto a different path that no one wanted or asked for. Because somewhere along the way, games began to change in ways that didn't feel important at first. You might even remember when things started changing around 2014-2015, right when corporate money started flooding in.
I remember like it was said like when it was first brought out that video games were gonna be going digital only. Bro, there was like a mass panic in the gaming hemisphere. Like over here. Yeah, gamers didn't like that.
Into gaming like never before.
And then now, you know, forward to now, it's like people are just like going digital, buying digital games. Yeah. Slowly but surely, I guess.
Big tech spotted an industry bigger than Hollywood and wanted exposure. With low interest rates and cheap
hopefully
capital,
physical games never die.
Tech changed too. Move fast and break things became the mantra, and the patient, methodical strategy that defined the golden era started to break apart. Then came a tidal wave of acquisitions. In 2014 alone, Microsoft bought Mojang, which created Minecraft, for $2.5 billion. Facebook then paid $2 billion for Oculus VR. Amazon grabbed Twitch for nearly $1 billion. And once that happened, the floodgates were open. $1 billion? And it never really stopped. Of course, the massive institutional investors like BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street also quietly became large shareholders in major gaming companies. Surprisingly, BlackRock alone owned over 7% of Activision and held major stakes in EA. Crucially, they started to control the voting rights that influenced corporate strategy. Big tech.
Yo, I want to know what they know that we don't. It's just interesting. Like, yo, let's invest in this gaming area. Here's why. Like, I don't know the reason. I mean, because it's doing good, but like, all right, I guess it's just that. All right, we figured it out. Everybody go home.
Is one thing, BlackRock is another, but what about when entire governments get involved in gaming? Well, this is exactly what happened when EA changed hands at an insane $55 billion.
They're gonna enslave us with video games. Oh my god. No. Wait, it's been happening already. I like it. Let's go. No.
The buyers? Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund, Silver Lake Private Equity, and Jared Kushner's investment firm Affinity Partners. So the Saudi government now owns the company behind FIFA, Madden, Battlefield, and The Sims. I mean, EA's already hated enough and has already destroyed more cherished studios than any other publisher in history. And I mean systematically. Here's how it tends to play out. They acquire an innovative studio, force a live service pivot, meaning pivoting closed-loop games to something that evolves constantly with ongoing costs for players, or just set unrealistic sales targets and squeeze the company for everything. Then they shut down when the creative team can't transform a game into a microtransaction factory. So let's start with the biggest names they obliterated. First, we have Westwood Studios, which created Command & Conquer and pioneered real-time strategy games. EA bought them in 1998 for $122.5 million. By March 2003, they were gone. One underperforming title, and EA closed them down entirely. The co-founder said the shift from passion to profit took its toll. Then there's Bullfrog Productions.
That's real. It's like business. It's ruthless, and then if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And like you have to, if you want to give them another chance, you have to risk. It's just like it's a big risk.
Who invented the god game genre. We're talking Populous Theme Park and Theme Hospital and Dungeon Keeper. EA absorbed them in 1995, and by 2001, the studio was effectively dead, partly due to pressure from EA and partly because their own bosses succumbed to greed and money. EA eventually forced the team to make licensed Harry Potter games instead. Anthem by BioWare practically failed under EA too, leaving the sequel cancelled. Then we have the case of Visceral Games in October 2017. Their Dead Space series defined survival horror and was profitable, but EA looked at those numbers and said that's not enough. They cancelled Visceral's ambitious single-player Star Wars game mid-development and shut down the entire studio, meaning 80 developers lost their jobs just like that. But why does this
Yo, did Star Wars pay them to do that? Okay.
matter? Well, because EA decided single-player games obviously don't make enough money compared to live service games with endless microtransactions.
Ah, there you go. It's like a single player game. You can't really monetize that as much as like,
which are a massive part of all of this greed and destruction of video games as a whole. EA brought the very worst form of this to gaming. It's a form of gambling, and they pushed it to kids. This is an outrage that should have been spoken about more by our politicians. Kids are obviously a giant market for video games, and when you push microtransactions, loot boxes, and all of this digital form of gambling, you're really just training a habit in kids to gamble when they're older. Which is why they don't want you to just finish the story, be done, and move on, as you get real satisfaction from that when the credits.
They're gonna sell you toys. Alright, just keep going.
Let's roll the campaign, and now you're just off to multiplayer.
I don't buy none of that.
Live service games with endless microtransactions, those
only microtransactions.
Neither does the spending.
Only microtransactions.
Gaming was changing into something more predatory that ruins people's lives. There were a few early warning signs, like Bethesda's infamous horse armor, which cost $2.50 back in 2006. It sparked massive backlash, but it proved that people would pay for in-game equipment. They later tried to monetize Skyrim's modding community and take a.
It's like when something new is like brought up in, like, I want to say not even in gaming, like in anything, people are like, what the
hey yo, what the
and then slowly, if it like people start trying it. Alright.
Big cut of the profits. The community lost its mind, and within 72 hours, Valve pulled the entire thing down. The CEO said pissing off the internet cost you $1 million in just a couple of days. Those early in-game monetization attempts are trivial compared to what came next. But before we continue, I want to thank Clean My Mac for sponsoring today's video, as it's that time of the year when everything just starts piling up. Work, travel, and even digital clutter. It's that time when your Mac starts running slow, random pop-ups appear, and you've got no idea what's actually taking up all that space on your device. Which is why I want to tell you about Clean My Mac, as it's what I use to...
Okay, Real ad now?
Fix that. It's basically a control center for your Mac. It clears out all junk
Go ahead,
files,
bro.
all cache, duplicate downloads, and all the background stuff that quietly fills up your system. The Smart Care feature keeps everything optimized, and it even has an anti-malware engine that scans for threats in one click to keep your Mac secure and running like new. They've also added a new cloud cleanup tool that scans your iCloud, Google Drive, and OneDrive, which then finds massive files that you might not even know about, wasting space both locally and online. Everything happens right on your Mac, so none of your private data ever leaves your computer. Meaning it's fast, safe, and surprisingly satisfying to watch the video disappear. It just makes your Mac feel so much more organized and fresh. And since it's the holidays, the timing couldn't be any better.
Give me that.
Everyone's baking cookies and wrapping gifts, but your Mac is full of the wrong kind of cookies. Digital ones that slow down everything. But with Clean My Mac, they will clear all the wrong cookies so that you can enjoy.
It's only for Mac? Alright. Hey, bud. I'm sorry. We need to get going, bud. We need to get going.
Call of Duty introduced the possibility of trial and use my code MOONREAL for 20% off.
I should have just let it go.
The industry
it was like 2 seconds left.
The possibility of monetizing games beyond the price you pay in the store, and they wouldn't let it go. Call of Duty introduced loot boxes with powerful weapons in Black Ops 3. Destiny took it even further when they locked base game players out of weekly content unless they bought DLC.
That's crazy.
Even filed a patent for systems designed to manipulate players into buying microtransactions through matchmaking. Basically pitting new players against those deeper into the game to force them to upgrade their loadout in order to compete. Mobile games is an even more hellish environment.
It's like pay to win, get there faster, or just don't pay at all and like level up like super slow.
For loot box mechanics and later the groundwork with Candy Crush and Farmville. I mean, just take Angry Birds. When it launched in 2009, it cost 99 cents.
What about Clash Royale?
A game that you owned forever. Because it was made with love and it was a fair transaction, it became a cultural phenomenon. But in 2015, they couldn't let that go. Angry Birds 2 then launched as free-to-play, but with aggressive monetization. Revenue soared 50% annually.
Don't tell me they added ads in there.
And they ended up deleting the original entirely. When fans did petition to bring it back, Rovio re-released it for 99 cents again in 2022. It immediately became the second best-selling paid app. Then in 2013, they once again deleted it, admitting the paid version had an impact on our wider games portfolio, which in other words means people preferred the version without predatory monetization, and that was threatening their free-to-play profits. Genshin Impact generates an average of $1.6 billion in annual revenue, and is another heinous example of loot bridge of that was threatening their free-to-play profits. Genshin Impact generates an average of $1.6 billion in annual revenue, and is another heinous example of loot box mechanics. The system comes with low drop rates for under 1% for top-tier items, costing approximately $25 for 10 pulls, but there's a pity system that guarantees a 5-star after 90 pulls. This means potentially spending $900 on a single character for a single item, with the added pressure that you know you will get it eventually if you just spend more money. It's just a classic case of
just give me my money.
A sunk cost fallacy, where someone resists abandoning a strategy because they're invested deeply into it. It becomes so tempting to just do one more pull, but it was EA who brought the very worst form of loot boxes to gaming and pushed it to children. FIFA Ultimate Team is a perfect example of this. It generated 29% of EA's entire revenue, and it works like
Alright, I believe FIFA is like ultra microtransaction, like to build a team or something, you need that.
this. You buy packs of virtual cards. You don't know what's in them, it's pure RNG, meaning it's using a random number generator, just like a slot machine. Then they used influencer marketing at a massive scale, advertising unrealistically impressive card pools to get everyone hooked. And suddenly, if you didn't do this, you would always be at a massive disadvantage compared to others who spent more on this.
It wasn't.
That's why there's tons of stories of people losing thousands on these games. Kids buying hundreds of packs on credit cards that their parents can't afford. People have literally gone into rehab for this. Belgium and the Netherlands eventually declared EA's loot boxes illegal gambling. They threatened fines up to 800,000 euros and fines.
It's like, it's so attainable, right? You buy the game, and then you could just press a button and like, it just happens.
years imprisonment, doubled if you're selling to minors. EA tried to fight this in court and lost, but practically doubled if
the company
they threatened
will go to
fines
prison?
up to 800,000 euros and 5 years imprisonment, doubled if you're selling to minors. EA tried to fight this in court and lost, but practically everywhere else, it's just business as usual. When Star Wars Battlefront 2 came out with this brutal loot box system, EA finally felt compelled to defend their business practices on Reddit, saying, quote, "The intent is to provide players with a sense of pride and accomplishment." This became the most downvoted comment in Reddit history, with 673,000 downvotes. This is exactly what Big Tech, BlackRock, and the Saudi government want a piece of. Gaming had cracked something that social media platforms had been chasing for years. People
just give me my money.
Willingly paying money to stay hooked.
I want to pay for that
Facebook could
gun.
keep you scrolling, but monetizing that compulsion was tricky. Games just asked you for a credit card, and you practically handed it over. The other difference was scale and precision. Gaming companies knew that loot boxes worked. Tech companies knew why they worked and how to maximize their effectiveness to generate more value for shareholders.
Make them look shiny. I like my chest shiny.
They had the testing infrastructure, the behavioral data, and the models that could predict exactly when someone was about to quit versus when they were one purchase away from staying.
That's my old bill.
I do wonder though whether we might have actually accepted the rise of aggressive microtransactions to some extent if
that gun make
the
me
games
more powerful
kept improving and blowing our minds.
Most likely not, but it looks good. Let's buy it. Yo, Grams.
But it's been the exact opposite.
I need your credit card.
And this shows you what they stole from the gaming experience itself. That feeling of a shared memory with your friends is all just being ripped away by games that just suck time after time. Imagine something as beloved as Call of Duty, which had Hans Zimmer composing the music, and MLG memes completely taking over.
Wait, Call of Duty does have micro... Well, who am I kidding? Of course it does.
But in the same last 10 years, it's now one of the most hated franchises in history. The Infinite Warfare trailer that...
But, like, one of the most popular too, so...
dropped in 2016, became the second most disliked.
I remember everybody hated
Infinite Warfare. Million dislikes.
I liked it.
But at least you could pay for some weird camo. Then they held the Modern Warfare remaster, which is the game everyone actually wanted.
Was that the Galaxy skin?
Expensive Infinite Warfare bundles. When Microsoft later bought ZeniMax, Bethesda's parent company, for $7.5 billion in cash, they had one chance to...
What's up with like these companies just dropping Bs on like gaming stuff, bro? Like what? Why do I feel like a T-Rex? Yo, camera. I have arms, like between my hands and shoulders. Alright, let's go.
Prove it could work. And to be fair, their first game, Starfield, got decent scores, but once people got stuck in, it just felt so empty. Thousands of planets to explore,
and one more
but few of them had anything interesting on them. Then came mods, except this time they were called creations. We're talking an absolutely outrageous $7 for a 15-minute quest in a $70 game. Within 2 years, players dropped 97% to around 3,700 average players. For perspective, Skyrim still has some 20,000 daily players. Other new games don't even work when they're released. When the highly anticipated Fallout 76 dropped in November 2018, there were over 200 bugs identified at launch, leading to a 56GB day one patch. They'd advertised a $200 Power Armor edition with a West Tech canvas duffel bag, but what actually shipped was cheap nylon, and so everyone blew up about it. When people complained, their response was to offer a pathetic $5.
It was the name of the bag. Of course it was nylon. It cost 1 penny to make in mass production. The name of the bag was Super Perfect Bag.
500 atoms, roughly $5 worth of in-game currency as compensation for a $200 purchase. It turned out they'd given actual canvas bags to influencers at a private event the month before, whereas regular customers, the ones dumb enough to pay $200, got the garbage. That didn't just feel like incompetence anymore. It was just pure contempt for those who'd loved the franchise the most. Sure, there have been a few...
So they probably ran out of bags, and they're like, yo, just make nylon bags. And give it just
anomalies in recent years.
They need to beat us in arbitration.
Dead Redemption, Elden Ring, Battlefield 3. But you get a game like that every few years, whereas it used to be a few every single year. And even these rare exceptions are constantly pushed back or cancelled. Speaking of which, you've probably heard that GTA 6 is once again delayed. It's a game that's expected to cost an unprecedented $2 billion to make,
delay it
more than any game in history.
People are gonna buy it.
For some perspective, the Burj Khalifa in Dubai, the literal tallest building in the world, cost more like $1.5 billion and was completed in just 6 years. Since it was announced, we've seen 12 Call of Duty games.
Let that sink in.
And 8 Assassin's Creed games released in that same time frame. And yet, the GTA franchise will always be better remembered. People don't care if it's gonna cost a bunch or...
It's just gaming is like so attainable. It's like you work, you buy the game, microtransactions, have this nice weapon in the game, can never be taken from you unless you get hacked. Yeah, it's just entertainment. You're literally just there, safe. Hopefully, you're not like in that alley gaming with like your PlayStation Portal at high maximum brightness.
When it's even going to be released, because Rockstar is seemingly one of the only AAA studios that still builds the magical game experiences that we had in the golden era. But this super slow, expensive development model is just so incredibly risky, because making a profit from this kind of game will just become harder and harder without charging through the roof. There's so much riding on it, it's literally a once-in-a-generation event, and probably the only game that can save gaming right now.
I mean, How crazy to play that game.
A game people are genuinely excited for that might happen once every decade or so, if we're even lucky.
Check this out.
But behind the scenes, while gaming profits are higher than ever because of all of these horrendous in-game transactions sucking money out of players, the working conditions have also become terrible too. We saw this clearly when the gaming publication Kotaku investigated behind the scenes at that Car Crash Fallout 76 release, where they found evidence of QA testers working 10 hours a day, 6 days a week, with low pay being offered pizza and a $200 bonus to give up their weekends. Some testers had their bathroom...
Are you kidding me? Free pizza? Bro, this is the best thing ever a company could do. Free pizza if you overwork yourself. Let's go.
Breaks timed. Right, one said they'd fantasize.
W Gaming.
On the
W Gaming.
Too injured to come to work.
Do it for the
Think
gamers.
About that.
Hashtag.
That's the kind of thing that happens in a labor camp in China.
JK.
And the gaming industry has laid off something like 45,000 workers since 2022. When Microsoft bought Activision for nearly $69 billion, they immediately...
Yo, can like, bro, like I played Call of Duty like in the last couple months. Like, let me...
cut thousands of people.
Give me
Unity,
that.
Sony, the same story. And a lot of these people were the OG developers of the greatest games. The actual artists with the creativity behind the games that made our childhoods. Then one day they're just laid off in a Zoom call by these giant faceless companies. Or just finding out from social media before HR even tells them. And so you can see how anything remotely human has been...
So Fallout New Vegas, never played it, never been. Should I play it? Is it like playable? Let me know.
That out of the industry in the name of efficiency. So they don't respect the studios, they don't respect the developers.
Just give me my money. They respect the money, bro. I mean, they might respect you, but like money talks.
And you know what else they don't respect?
Louder.
The actual stories and worlds that made these franchises valuable in the first place.
That's why they're dropping B's. Billions.
Just look at what Netflix did to The Witcher. According...
Do you think they just want to drop a B and like get an M? Like, do you know multiplication?
To a former writer on the show, some of the writers actively disliked the books and games, and would even mock the source material in the writer's room. They hired people who didn't just not care about the thing they were adapting, they actively made fun of it. Henry Cavill, who was a massive fan of the books and games, spent 3 seasons fighting the showrunner to stay faithful to the source material. It got so bad they had to leave after season 3, and then...
This is crazy. This is insane. So like the studio will want the game to be like more towards the game story, right? But like if you're Netflix and you're making a show, you want to show extravagant storylines, so it's gonna like pivot. That's crazy. I'm a gamer, so I choose the studio's story.
And the viewership collapsed with it. The prequel, Blood Origin, got an outrageously bad 13% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. So far, this all looks like a classic tale of corporate corruption and greed. But there's honestly a darker edge to this all. I mean, you've got to wonder, are people actually having fun
you got a tomato
when they
on
even
your
play these
nose.
games these days? There's a crucial difference between fun and compulsion. Fun is intrinsic. It arises from genuine engagement with the game world, from solving challenging puzzles, from collaborating with friends, making memories, socializing, and feeling really immersed in a different world. Compulsion is extrinsic, driven by the promise of external rewards, by fear of missing out, by the nagging feeling that you need to keep playing even when you're not enjoying it.
I'm in an office,
rewiring
so I
your
can
brain
like
with addictive gambling mechanisms. Scan Reddit and YouTube comments, and you'll find tons of posts just saying the same thing. I just don't enjoy playing games anymore. 63% of people don't even buy games now, an all-time low. And players no longer care about.
Wait, what
people don't even buy games now, an all-time low. And players no longer care about so many of the things that made those early games from the golden era just so magical.
And Roblox.
Most gamers today care less about strategic thinking and planning when playing games than the average gamer did back in June 2015. The reality is, hard isn't profitable anymore.
I think there were less games back then, and then like more so people were thinking and strategy because there were less games, but like it was more thinking and strategy games. But like it was like 2D.
Games might get a cult following, but they'll never be as profitable as easy accessible brain rot games like Fortnite, or even just random stuff like Subway Surfers. So why are revenues still so high? Well, it all does really just come down to these random rewards and how addictive they are. But there's absolutely nothing random about how they're designed to extract profits from players. Back in the 1930s, a Harvard psychologist named
Is that a hookah?
B.F. Skinner built a box with a rat inside. The rat pressed a lever and got food, that's simple. But then Skinner made the rewards random. Press, you get.
Please tell me this isn't us as gamers, this day of age.
Nothing. Press nothing again. Press this time, you get the food. The rat went absolutely berserk, pressing thousands of times, never knowing when the next pellet would drop. Skinner said you could do this with any animal. He turned a pigeon into a pathological gambler in a demonstration. This is the mechanism behind every random loot box in every game you've ever played. Because they.
Oh my god. It's like YouTube integrated into microtransactions. The more clicks people make, the more it'll feed you that type of click. Oh my god.
Draw on the same underlying psychology. Genshin generates an average of $1.6 billion in annual revenue, and is one of the most egregious examples of using addictive psychology for player profit extraction. Loot boxes come with low drop rates of under 1% for top tier items, costing approximately $25 for 10 pulls, but there's a pity system that guarantees a 5-star after 90 pulls. This means
this is crazy. So it's like very low chance of like hitting the lottery, but then if the lottery like go after $1,000 that you that you spend, your odds go up like a certain percentage. More people will buy more. That's crazy.
Potentially spending $900 on a single character for a single item, with the added pressure that you know you will get it eventually if you spend more. Valve even, who were once the good guys, actually pioneered these exploitation techniques. Here's a stat that will truly shock you. By April 2019, over 71% of the most played Steam games featured loot boxes, with 86% containing cosmetic microtransactions. Valve earned nearly $1 billion from Counter-Strike loot boxes in 2023 alone. They claim they have no business relationship.
That 1B is gonna make Counter-Strike last decades, right? Okay.
Relationship with gambling sites. And yet their entire system enables a massive grey market of skin gambling, in addition to cryptocurrency laundering. In late 2024, DayZ creator Dean Hall finally called them out directly on what we've been talking about in this video. Quote, Valve does not get anywhere near enough criticism.
And then they promoted their own game with Microtransactions. No.
I'm honestly disgusted with the gambling mechanics in video games at all. They have absolutely no place. Yanis, who worked as Valve's economist, said in 2024 that Valve helped create a hellscape, which he described as techno-feudalism, a system where corporations profit from digital platforms they fully control. Consumers live inside what he calls a digital fiefdom, where they don't own anything. They're forever paying some form of rent. Practically everything demands.
Yeah, you don't own the game. You're licensing it. They give you a license to actually play it. Like this office, it's not mine. They're licensing this office. Wow, what a horrible world. All right, let's go. Keep going. JK. I love this office.
Subscription or a small ongoing cost, eroding our ability to own anything outright. And he's just right on so many levels.
And I can't yell or spit. That's crazy. Okay.
Levels that go beyond gaming and percolate into every inch of our digital society. You don't own your software anymore, it's all subscription. You don't own your physical movies, it's Spotify and Netflix, until they decide to pull content you paid for. You don't own your home, Blackstone bought them all and now you're a permanent renter. Even your job isn't stable anymore. Welcome to the gig economy where you own nothing, not even job security.
I've heard like you don't even own your car, the government does somehow, some way.
Wanna buy a car? You're gonna start needing a subscription too. Once tech proved it worked, once they conditioned an entire generation to think you own nothing and be happy.
If you're struggling with depression,
happy was normal, every other industry took notes.
The
gaming industry is a massive innovator of this model, making gaming companies compulsive and endless and boring. You don't need to make people happy with creativity and immersive world building, you just need to make them unable to stop and rake it in from ongoing transactions. Why spend 5 years crafting the next Skyrim when you can spend 6 months building a live service game with a battle pass, daily challenges and FOMO mechanics
and make more? What?
That just keep people logging in every single day. You probably noticed that highly anticipated games just fail so often these days, but the truth is they rarely matter to the executives making the decisions. Because when it does work, when you get a Fortnite, a Genshin Impact, and Apex Legends, the money is so obscene that it justifies every failure along the way. But there is another side to
like Apex, every time it's a new season, like some of them, like the gamers just like be like, nah, this ain't it. But then they still make money from it. What? We're still gonna play it. It's our game.
It's our main. It does offer a small glimmer.
It's our main squeeze.
In 2024, indie games made up nearly half of all Steam revenue. 5 of the top 10 highest grossing games in Steam.
I gotta play Paul World. I gotta react to it or something.
Steam were indie titles. Tools like Unity and Unreal Engine made it possible for small teams to build games.
I think Nintendo and Paul World are in a dilemma in the court system. I burned my knuckles. Okay, whatever. Keep going.
Allows massive budgets. Platforms like Steam let them reach players directly. When you're not answering to shareholders demanding massive growth every quarter, you can focus on making something genuinely great. But it's not exactly a fair fight. For every success story you hear about, there are thousands of developers who spend a fair fight.
Okay.
For every success story you hear about, there are thousands of developers who spent years.
If somebody says that's you, you're gonna get timed out. I don't know.
Is making games almost nobody plays. And even the successful ones are
You'll get a dislike on your comment.
Huge money-making machine. AAA studios have marketing budgets bigger than entire indie development costs. They have established franchises, brand recognition, and algorithms
I want to buy
that
that
them.
with
Small
microtransactions.
teams are making better games with a fraction of the resources. But the system is designed to crush them anyway. And I think the saddest part is how we've just accepted this as normal. An entire generation of gamers.
See what I'm saying? Like when it first is brought up, it's like your hooligans, like yo, what's going on? What? And then like with time, like people just do it, or some people didn't have a problem with it. They just bought it, they used it, and then the people like against it, see that in the game on another character, they're like, yo, what? And then like, oh, let me try it.
This is growing up thinking this is what games are supposed to be. And yet they'll never know the feeling of buying a game, loading it up, and it's yours to enjoy without any intrusion or additional investment except maybe the occasional DLC that you genuinely look forward to. They'll never understand why you get that faraway look in your eyes when you talk about Halo 3 or the first time you played Skyrim. What are we handing down to them? What world are we leaving behind? The industry makes more money than ever, but we've lost something that can't be measured in revenue.
Passion. Ah. Yeah.
Curiosity, adventure, discovery, and community. Whatever you used to feel, it's just fading away. Curiosity, adventure, discovery, more money than ever, but we've lost something that can't be measured in revenue. Curiosity, adventure.
What was that game?
Adventure, discovery, and community. Whatever you used to feel, it's just fading away. People keep playing even though they're not content or happy like they once used to. We had something special. We had worlds we could get lost in, stories that stayed with us, moments we still remember years later. Now you can see they just traded it all away for microtransactions, endless gameplay seasons, and loot
battle pass
for something that makes us all measurably less happy while they get richer and richer, destroying video games in the process.
Do you guys agree with this? Did the video game industry get destroyed by the video game industry? Let me know. And yeah, follow, subscribe, comment. See you guys next time. Peace. Why stick my tongue out?